matured way. So I'd like to invite, first of all, we'll move to the south, and I'll invite Vasu Gounden, who is the Executive Director of the African Center for the Constructive Resolution of Disputes, Accord. Some of you in Kenya will know of another accord. It's good that we have many accords, because that's all about agreement. This is the one with the double C. He founded it in 1992. He's a lawyer by training and a mediator by choice. He has been involved in this work for many, many years now, and notably has been one of the mediators that have impacted, I think, decisively on the Burundian peace processes a few years ago, where he has worked with former Madiba, or the former president of South Africa, Nelson Mandela, President Jacob Zuma, and various others. He's also worked in other contexts, in Madagascar, and then was exported. He's one of Africa's exports to Palestine, where they also have an ongoing, I guess, tension and conflict. So let me invite Vasu to offer his views in terms of what is it that could take us forward. Vasu, welcome.
Place for my writing pad. Chair, thank you very much. And Florence and the NPI team, Peter and the GPAC team, thank you very much for inviting us to share our experiences with yourselves. Colleagues, let me answer the Chair's question directly, because you're right, you don't have any time for strategic planning and lengthy debates about what you ought or ought not to do. I'll share a little bit about South Africa's experience with you, but let's just, to answer that question, I think right now all Kenyans have to realize that this is a turning point for you. The whole world is watching you. We have great expectations that you, despite all the differences, you will put those differences, well, let's not be unrealistic. You're not going to put those differences aside. But at least you will conduct an election that will, in the end, be in the interests of all Kenyans. And whatever the outcome, the parties to the election will accept that outcome and the country will move on. Now, let me say that a few years ago, I took a holiday with my family in a very small, what we call a dorpie, a little city in South Africa, a very peaceful place, very small town, and we were in a little apartment on the lake, very peaceful. And then it was December, and just close to Christmas, we saw these disturbing images. It didn't shock me, because I've been working in conflict for 20 years. So I'm not shocked when I see conflict. But I was extremely surprised, because it was Kenya. I have been coming to Kenya for many, many years, and I never expected, and I'm sure as Kenyans you didn't expect it either, the turn of events in Kenya. We know the impact of that, and we know what it has done to the lives of Kenyans. It's changed your lives completely. But we know what it's done to your economy. Now, in 2011, I went with a colleague to Syria. And we spent several days in Damascus. We had meetings with the government, with Hezbollah, who's based on the opposite side, with Hamas, with a number of the opposition groups, etc. At the time, what the government was facing was street protests. 18 months later, you have a full-scale civil war. Count yourselves lucky that you did not go into a full-scale civil war in Kenya. We know what's happening in Mali. I feel really sorry for the Syrians, because we met some really, really good people. And we went into a city that I'd been for the first time, which was extremely well built up. But not only that, it contains a number of sites that record the history of humanity. It's totally destroyed today. Syria is destroyed. You see those people in Jordan, in Turkey, in Lebanon, in the refugee camps, with rain pouring down, with snow, with just plastic to cover themselves. Those were people who had houses. Those were people who had jobs. Now, I've seen this many times, in a number of places. South Sudan, Burundi, the DRC, Sierra Leone, Liberia. Now we are witnessing it in Mali. Somehow you escaped this. So be thankful. Whether you are the media, whether you are in civil society, whether you are in government, this is something you have to seriously think about. Because if you are writing the kind of stuff we saw that the professor put up, and you land in a refugee camp with plastic over your head, you're going to regret for a long time that you wrote that. This is not dramatizing anything, believe me. I've been there, I've been on the ground. There's Emmanuel is here, Florence, we've been in this conflict, and this is not even dramatizing it. This is reality. This is what you see. How fast your lives can go there, believe me, you would blink and you're there. So you need some level of responsibility now. Remember that the people sitting in this room, you have homes, right? You have jobs. You have bonds that you have to pay on your houses, and you have cars and all of that. Even if you don't go to a full-scale civil war, if you just have a conflict, the rating agencies will drop your ratings. Inflation will go up. The banks will put up the interest rate. It's going to affect you personally. So be careful who you follow, why you follow them, what you do. This is our experience also. We've been through 4 elections. So let me tell you what the consequences of that are. We're very lucky in South Africa that we've managed to have responsible leadership. But we're not out of the woods. We know that. And I'll tell you what our problems were and what I think you might also be facing here. But let me just quickly conclude that part. Just be thoughtful. You've got 21 days. Think very carefully for 21 days. That don't think that you are isolated from that plastic tent over your head. Don't think that you are isolated from your bond rate going up. Conflict knows no bounds. So you have to act responsibly. And I'm happy that I see so many from the media here. Because really the responsibility is with yourselves in the media also. Just think about it today. I'm just looking at my friend there and I'm saying, think about your own life. Forget about the politicians. Forget about which party wins. Forget all those things. Just think about yourself. Tomorrow you might not have that job. And you'll be sitting in a refugee camp next door. And you know the problems we're having on the continent. This continent where it's not very difficult for some government next door to support one opposition group there, support another opposition group. Everywhere it's rife. In your region, it's rife. So for people to take up arms, do all sorts of nonsense, this is a reality we are living with. If you go to Norway, Sweden, to get someone to take up arms next door, this is not possible. But here, to cross the border and get arms, this is not impossible. This is very, very possible. So think about that. Now, where have we gone in South Africa? There are 3 things that are linked. Politics, power, and patronage. Elections are almost always about power. It should not be about that. It should be about ideas and political programs. It should be about development. And you as the electorate, all of us as electorates in our country, should have the choice to choose amongst those with different ideas and to choose those with the best ideas, the best visions for our development. That's what elections are about. Now, somehow you have been spared this for a long time, because what you had in Kenya is what we have in South Africa now. So you're somewhere ahead of us, and we're going to learn from you and watch your mistakes. Don't worry about us. We're still young in the game. Why? I'll tell you why. Because you see, you had a hegemonic party. Kenyatta, Daniel Arap Moi, hegemonic party. That hegemonic party, in one way or the other, despite all of its problems and challenges and all of that, and I'll speak about my own country so I don't have to pass judgment on your country. But you see hegemonic parties, and I am a product of my own liberation movement. I left South Africa in 1979 to join our liberation movement in Lusaka. Throughout the 80s, I was not in the foot soldier. I was one of those leaders in the ANC inside the country. So if you talk about violence, I know violence. I orchestrated it too. I was in the front line. I was fighting in a system. I was in a war. Jail, I know jail. I've been there too. I used to be a lawyer for the ANC in the 80s. So this is my party that I'm talking about. It's a hegemonic party. And yes, it brings stability. Hegemonic parties in societies in transition bring stability. That's a reality. But when you go from political ideas to a contestation of power, that's when your problems start. When power is linked to patronage, you have big problems. So the contestation for power amongst political parties is in itself a problem. But it's very much contained by allegiances and loyalty, and people vote on the basis of those things. That's where we are right now. When Mandela fought an election in 1994 against the National Party, that was power. He fought on the basis of a political program that we had in our country, the Freedom Charter. That was the political program. And on that program, he said, I will deliver this. But he was also in a power contestation against the National Party of the apartheid government. So that was about power in essence. When it came to Mbeki in the following two elections, that was about power also. But slowly started to creep in patronage also. I don't have to tell you about patronage. I'm sure as Kenyans you're fully aware what patronage is. I don't have to spell that out to you. But when you have a cocktail mixture of politics, power and patronage, now you see it's not just limited to politicians fighting power battles. It's about the man on the ground who relies on that patronage. He will kill to ensure that whoever is giving him patronage remains in power. And when that person on the ground is not like you and I who have skills, access to resources, and we can, if the people who we are supporting lose elections, we don't lose everything. I'm a qualified lawyer, I'm admitted to the Supreme Court in my country, I run a successful NGO, I can go be a lawyer, I can be anything I want to be. So if the ANC loses elections tomorrow, I'm not going to lose my life. But the person down there who doesn't have education, is marginalized, but he's in a municipal government somewhere there, and the only reason he's in that position is because of the patronage of the party. That person will kill to keep that job. That's just a reality. Our colleagues are here from Holland. Holland you don't kill because you have jobs. You lose elections, you don't go and kill. Sweden, Norway, Denmark, all those places, United States, you don't kill because you have access, you have skills, you have resources. The job market is such you can move from one to the other. But in a place where there is wide-scale unemployment, South Africa, 30% unemployment, Here you've got the young people, huge youth that are marginalized, unemployed, unemployable because they don't have the skills. Now that's your choice. That's where we are in South Africa right now, and we're managing this thing. We're trying to see, we don't want to go down that route. We still have a hegemonic party in the country, but the contestation is within the hegemonic party. So the last run-up to the ANC conference, the elections in the party were violent. It's still manageable. Once that contestation of politics, patronage and power gets to the political parties, we will have serious problems. You are there already. You have 21 days to decide what kind of life you're going to lead. That's all you have. You have to treat it with the seriousness that comes with that timeline. You also have to make sure that as the media, and you are all here, and I hope you will have more of the media that consider this. What you do today, tomorrow, in the next 21 days will also determine the outcome of your life. So, Chair, I'm hoping to discussion about these issues. But these are, as I said, please don't stand there and think this chap, he's just dramatizing this thing. It is not dramatizing anything. You saw the violence in Kenya in 2007, 2008. That was not dramatizing anything. These are you people. It's Kenyans who are killing each other. So you have the potential Kenya here, those people in the street can't get weapons. No, it's not so difficult. Remember, you're in a very volatile region. You know that. Your neighbors. Lawless. To get arms there, that doesn't take much. I got in at 2:30 this morning. 3 o'clock, we were up at 5 o'clock or something because we had to be here this morning. Because we want to be part of Kenya, and we want to be able to say, we will support you. That's why we came. We came here to support you. Now, we can only support you. But you will shape your destiny. Think very carefully. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vasu. I'm going to invite